Hey guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today we are back with another if you like this, then try this. So I have done one of those videos in the past. In that particular video, I was recommending TV shows and movies based off of books. In this video today, we are strictly focused on books. So if you like this particular book, then I suggest you check out this book. So I have a mix of genres, but a majority of these are going to be mystery thrillers, but we will go ahead and get started. So the first two books that I want to talk about have to do with missing children. So if that is your thing, then these books, either one of these books might work for you. So first up, we have Little Secrets by Jennifer Healy. In this one, we're following this woman, Marin, and Marin, for the most part, has a perfect life. She's married her high school sweetheart, I think, college sweetheart, and they have a young son, Sebastian. One day while she is out with Sebastian at a store, she literally looks down at her phone for just a few seconds to check a text message. When she looks up, Sebastian is gone. And of course, that is devastating to Marin and her husband. We fast forward a year later. Sebastian, unfortunately, is still missing, and Marin is having a hard time trying to cope with this. She ends up hiring a private investigator to help try to find out where Sebastian is, but unfortunately, that private investigator instead finds out that her husband is having an affair. That opens up a whole nother can of worms and lots of secrets are being exposed. This was a good time, and you guys know I love anything that has to do with secrets. If that is your thing, this one will work for you. But if you have already read this one, then I suggest you check out The Couple Next Door by Sherry Lapina. So in this one, we are following this couple, Anne and Marco, and they have a young baby girl. And one night, they get invited to this little dinner party by their next door neighbors. And so their plan is they're trying to have finally this adult night, and they decide that they are going to leave their young child. When I say young, I don't even think the child is like a year old. So they decide to leave their young child at home. What the plan was for each of them to go home periodically to check on the baby. Well, that seems to work up until a certain point. When one of them goes back to the house and sees that the baby is missing, the story just kind of unravels from there. Again, this is another one that involves a lot of secrets. If you like missing children, then I think either one of these will work for you. Now, these next two books, I would recommend either one of these if you are into stories about characters that do nothing but lie. So first up, we have Count My Lies by Sophie Stava. So in this one, we're following our main character, Sloane, and Sloane is a certified liar. She lies about everything, stuff that she doesn't even have to lie about. She lies. She just can't help herself. One day, Sloane meets this little girl. She's then introduced to the little girl's mother, Violet. Eventually, she another day meets the husband, Jay, and she lies her way into this family and becomes the family nanny. However, she is unaware that she has just stepped into a lot of mess that has taken place between Jay and Violet. And so some of her lies will eventually get her into trouble. But if you've read this one, then I suggest you check out Lisa Jewell's Don't Let Him In. So in this one, we're following a few different characters. One of the main characters that we're following is Nina, and Nina's husband has unexpectedly passed away. So a few months later, she is trying to rebuild her life, and this guy, Nick, who just seems so perfect, ends up coming into her life. He starts off by telling her that he knew her husband and starts kind of giving her pieces of information that Nina believes, and eventually Nina and Nick strike up this romance. However, Nina's daughter Ash is not believing anything that this man is saying. She doesn't understand where he came from. She doesn't understand how he knows certain stuff about her dad. So Ash takes it upon herself to look into Mr. Nick, and boy, are there a lot of lies happening in this one. I will say for these, in Count My Lies, that one has a lot of unexpected twists and turns, especially when you get towards the end. In this one, it's not necessarily so twisty. It's literally you watching these characters and them slowly figuring out these lies, because we know stuff that the character doesn't know. So you're kind of just watching them catch up to the information that you already know. Now, sometimes that works for people, sometimes it doesn't. In this one, I enjoyed it. I thought parts of this was funny, but again, if you like liars, then I think either one of these will work for you. So the next two books that I want to recommend are cozy fantasies. One of them is super duper popular. It didn't work for me, but it seemed to work for a lot of other people. But I do have a recommendation for you if that particular fantasy did not work for you. So what I'm referring to is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. So this actually says it's a novel of high fantasy and low stakes. So that means it's fantasy and there's not a lot of plot. And if you are somebody that is literally just here for vibes, this one will probably work for you. So in this, we're following this orc named Viv. She used to fight in all these battles. She no longer wants to. So she decides that she wants to open up a coffee shop. While she's in the middle of opening up this coffee shop, she comes across some other friends who decide that they want to help her build this coffee shop. There is a little bit of something going on in here, but it's literally just vibes. If you like watching somebody build a coffee shop, then you're probably gonna like this. Now, if you are more like me, I need a little bit more plot in my fantasy books, even if it's a cozy fantasy. So if this one didn't quite work for you, or maybe it did work for you and you're looking for something else that will kind of match this one, then I would say pick up The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. So this one follows our main character, Tao, and she is a fortune teller, but she tells small fortunes. And so she travels around to different places and she basically tells people's fortune for a living. That's how she makes her money. She soon comes across this ex-mercenary that is looking for their lost child. They end up crossing paths with somebody that is a baker, and they kind of join forces to help find this missing child. But along the way, they form friendships. There's a little bit of a romance. There's some found family. There's a little bit of everything going on here. But what I liked about this one is that there is a little bit more of a plot. So this one worked for me. Again, if Legends and Lattes wasn't necessarily your thing, check this one out. If Legends and Lattes did work, but you're still looking for the cozy vibes, I would say check this one out. So now we're gonna jump into horror that involve children. So what I have here is Hidden Pictures. I think a lot of people are really familiar with this one, but it is one that I really enjoyed. So in this one, we are following our main character, Mallory. And Mallory has just gotten a new job working with this family as a nanny to their young son, Teddy. Everything seems to be going well. She seems to like her job. They have given her a place to stay, which is something that she actually needs. But the more she gets to know Teddy, she realizes that he likes to draw pictures. And in these pictures, he starts to draw his imaginary friend, which to me, that would spook me, but Mallory is fine with it. But as the days go on, she notices that Teddy's pictures are becoming more and more artistic. So let me show you what they start off as. So first off, we're just getting like little pictures like this, and they slowly turn into pictures like this. And obviously she thinks something weird is happening. She also is trying to figure out this imaginary friend that Teddy has, and the story just kind of takes off from there. I think this is really creepy. I like the fact that not only are the pictures like described to you, but you actually get to see them. Now, I have recommended this to people before, and people have said that they've only listened to the audiobook and they didn't even realize that pictures were included. Yes, pictures are included, and I would say even if you want to check out the audiobook, make sure to kind of have a physical copy around. That way you can check out the pictures as you're listening. Now, if this is something that you enjoyed, then I would say check out Incidents Around the House by Josh Mallerman. So in this one, we're following this young girl. I think she's like 7 or 8 years old, and her name is Bella. And Bella has been getting visits from someone that she calls the other mommy. And the other mommy lives in Bella's closet. Lately, the other mommy has been asking Bella if she can get inside of her, and slowly Bella has started to see little mommy come out of the closet, and she's seeing her other places. And something that's really unique about the story is that it is told from Bella's perspective, which I didn't know if I was going to like hearing a story told from an 8-year-old, but I think Josh Mallerman did a really good job with telling the story that way. And I really like that it did feel like I was reading a story from the perspective of an 8-year-old. So if you like hidden pictures, I suggest you check out this one. So the next two books that I want to talk about are two books that I don't necessarily hear a lot of people talking about, but I would consider maybe a little bit of a mystery, but they include magical realism, and they're both young adult. So the first one is The Cost of Knowing by Brittany Morris. So in this one, we're following our main character, Alex. I think he's like 16 years old. He works at a coffee shop. He's just living his life. He has a brother, he has a girlfriend, but he has this curse. He calls it a curse because everything he touches, he gets a vision. So like if he touches the ice cream scoop, then he gets a vision of him scooping the ice cream. He gets these random visions that he doesn't necessarily really like, but he doesn't really know how to stop this from happening to him. One day though, he ends up touching this picture and then he has a vision of his brother dying. And so now Alex is in a rush to try to prevent this vision from coming true. I haven't really read anything like this before with someone, kind of having this power before. And I really felt so bad for Alex because like I mentioned before, he believed that he was cursed. And I can only imagine how it feels to touch something and then you're having all these strange visions. So I felt for this character. But if you have read this one, then I suggest you read Needy Little Things by Chanel de Samores. So in this one, she kind of has the same thing that Alex had in the previous book. So our main character, Soraya, she can hear what other people need. So if she is really close to someone and they are in need of something, she can hear those needs. So basically if she's like next to you and all of a sudden in your mind, you're like, ugh, I need a pencil, she can hear those thoughts. So for her, sometimes this can also be really distracting, especially like if she is in large crowds of people and then she starts hearing all of these needs all at once. She walks around with headphones in a lot just so that she can kind of block out the noise. One day, her and her friends go to this huge music festival, a festival that Soraya didn't really want to go to because again, she doesn't like to be around crowds of people, but she decided to go to have fun with her friends. One of her friends ends up missing. Soraya doesn't think that the police and the media are doing enough to find her friend. And so that's when she really puts her gift to use. And then she really finds out if whether or not she truly has a gift or if this is more of a curse. Again, I really enjoyed both of these. They are very similar, but they do have two different issues going on. And I really enjoyed this one because I especially liked where this one ended up. So if you haven't heard of either one of these, I suggest you check them both out. But if you have read The Cost of Knowing, then check this one out. So the next two books that I have to talk about, one is actually a romance, and then the other one is a thriller. But I think if you like this romance, then you'll like the thriller and vice versa. So the romance that I'm talking about is The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. So in this one, we're following this woman. Her name is Jessica. Jessica has a 7-year-old daughter. She's a single mom, and she is trying to get back into the dating world. She ends up taking this compatibility test. It's really popular. It's hard on the market. And basically, it uses your DNA to genetically match you with your quote-unquote soulmate. So she ends up taking this test, and she is a 98% match with this doctor who she has had a run-in before and who she does not like. So this is basically following their romance and the ups and downs of this DNA matchmaking test and everything that comes with that. I enjoyed both of the characters. I did like learning about this app. I think it's an app, a test. It's technically a company. It's called Genetic Ally. And I loved learning about how this supposedly works. Is it something that I would try? Probably, just to see what would happen. But I did like both of the characters and where their romance led to. So if you have heard of this one, then I suggest you check out The One by John Mars. This is probably one of their more popular books, but in this one, it also deals with a DNA test that will match you to your quote unquote soulmate. So in this, we're actually following a bunch of different characters, and they have all at one point or another taken this test. They are currently matched with who they are supposed to be with. And we're kind of watching these couples and the consequences of this test. Some of these perspectives are wilder than other ones. This one does have a lot going on. There are a lot of secrets. So if you're in a more of a thriller mood, I would suggest this one. But if you are more in a romantic mood, then I would check out The Soulmate Equation. These are the next two books. I'm really excited to talk about these because I thought these were both fantastic books. Now, the one that I think people are more familiar with is Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh. This was actually my first Steve Kavanaugh book. So in this one, we follow two women. They are Amanda and Wendy, and they have this like chance encounter with each other, and they get to chatting and they start kind of learning about each other's lives. And so during their conversation, they find out that each of them has a man that has wronged them. And so they come up with this plan like, if you kill for me, then I'll kill for you. So then we also follow this random woman, Ruth. And Ruth is home alone one night and her home is invaded and she is essentially attacked. And so at a certain point, all of these like storylines come together. I like the idea of kill for me, kill for you. This book went in directions that I just did not see coming. This was a great introduction into Stephen Kavanaugh. If you have not read anything from him, then I suggest you pick this one up. But if you have already read this one and you enjoyed it, then I would say check out Not So Perfect Strangers by L.S. Stratton. So in this one, we're following this Black woman, Tasha. And Tasha, unfortunately, is in a really abusive relationship. And she has finally gotten the courage to leave her bad relationship. One night she is driving, and then this white woman like darts out into the road and she's like banging on Tasha's window and she's like, I need help, I need help, I need help. And Tasha decides to help her, finds out her name is Madison, and finds out that Madison is in a relationship that she no longer wants to be in either. So they kind of get to chatting as well, and they kind of like come up with this plan, but not really plan of, I'll get rid of your person if you get rid of mine. One of them takes this a little bit more serious than the other one does. And so the story just kind of takes off from there, and it is a wild ride. I don't think enough people talk about this book, but again, if you like Kill for Me, Kill for You, if you like that sort of plot, I would highly suggest that you check this one out. So next up, I have some more horror. We're jumping back into horror. First one is Episode 13 by Craig DeLuey. This was a pleasant surprise for me. I really enjoyed this one. But we are following a group of paranormal investigators. They have this whole show and they are working on episode 13. And in episode 13, they end up going to this place called the Paranormal Research Foundation. And obviously they are trying to catch ghosts. Now, some of them actually really believe in ghosts. Some of them don't really take it so seriously, but boy, are they in for a surprise when they actually encounter some ghosts in this place. This one was really fun to me because it is told in mixed media. There are a lot of like transcripts of like show transcripts, text messages, emails, journal entries, the whole nine that's really telling the story. And I thought it was really good because I say this all the time when it comes to books in mixed media. I really enjoyed it because you got a full story just told in that format. And I think it was really fun. I don't necessarily think this was as scary as I wanted it to be, but it was creepy and it was an enjoyable time. So if you have read episode 13 and you're looking for something else with this same sort of vibe, then I suggest you read Widow's Point by Richard Sizemore and W.H. Sizemore. This is a father-son duo. This is another book that is actually told in mixed media. So if that is how you like your stories told, definitely check this one out. But this one actually involves a lighthouse. So there have been a lot of mysterious deaths around this one lighthouse. A lot of strange accidents, a lot of strange disappearances. So we follow this man in 2017. He has a bright idea that he is going to try to stay at this lighthouse and see what other people are experiencing. However, doesn't go so well for him. Then we fast forward to 2025 and we have a group of paranormal investigators and they now want to stay in this lighthouse. And some of what they're experiencing is overlapping with what this other guy experienced in 2017, and it was a good time. This one I felt was a little bit more creepy than episode 13. So if you're looking for something that's more scary, I would highly suggest this one. Again, it's also told in the mixed media format. So you get a lot of news articles, you get a lot of like video footage and recorded footage and all that kind of stuff. So if you enjoy that, I suggest you read this. Now we're moving on to still horror, but haunted houses. So we're gonna start off with the really popular Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. And I will say that this is probably my favorite book that I have read by Riley Sager thus far. So in this one, we're following this woman, Maggie. And Maggie didn't really have like the best relationship with her father. And they're for reasons. And she finds out that he has died and left the house to her. And she wants to go back to the house and get it prepared to sell. However, some things happened when she was younger in the house, and her dad wrote a book about it. So in this book, he explains that he brought the family to this house and they only lasted a few days because some strange things were happening in this house. And so we kind of flip back and forth between Maggie's POV and parts of the book that he wrote explaining what actually took place in this house. Love this. I thought it was so creepy. I loved the book within a book. I especially really loved the parts where we were talking about what was going on in this house because I was genuinely creeped out. So if you liked Home Before Dark and you want the same kind of vibe, a book within a book, then I suggest you read Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. So in this one, we're following our main character, Cleo. And Cleo and her sisters did not have the best relationship with their mother, Alex, because when they were younger, Alex believed that their house was possessed by a demon. And she was really obsessed with trying to get rid of this demon, but nobody else believed that there was a demon in this house. So fast forward years later, and Cleo and her sisters find out that their mother has passed away. Cleo takes it upon herself that she is going to be the one to go back to this house and she is going to get it prepared to sell. Well, while she is in the house, she finds the book that her mother has written. Nobody in her family has supposedly read this book because they just didn't believe anything that their mother said was true. So Cleo starts to read this book. While she's in the house, she also starts to experience some of the stuff that her mother has said happened in this house. And it kind of takes off from there. Again, we have a story, a book within a book. We are getting excerpts from their mother about what happens in this house in her book. Also, there are annotations that her mother left in the book that is also there for you. So you get these little annotations on the side. Again, I really enjoyed the parts where we were getting excerpts from the book because I was so interested in what actually took place in this house. I will say that this one to me was not as serious as Home Before Dark. So if you're kind of looking for, I guess, more of like a lighthearted isn't even the word, unserious. If you're looking for a more like unserious version of a haunted house story, then check this out. But I think if you've read this one and you're looking maybe for something a tad bit darker, then try Home Before Dark. So the last two books that I want to talk about, one of the books are really, really popular and I'm sure everybody has already read it. But another one is not as popular as I believe it should be. And I think more people should read it. I'm talking about The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. So this is the one that is super popular, the one that everybody has read, the one that is being made into a movie that comes out in December, I believe. So in this one, we're following this girl, Millie, and she is down on her luck. She ends up becoming a nanny, a housemaid to this family, Nina and Andrew. Nina and Andrew, I'm getting characters mixed up. So Nina and Andrew, and she gets like wrapped up in this family. She becomes really smitten with the husband, and she feels like Nina is just really mean to her, and she doesn't really know why. So the longer she's in this house, the more she finds out that everything is not as it seems with this husband and wife, and she kind of gets wrapped up in their drama. So this one was really good. At the time that I read this one, I was completely blown away. I really liked the way that the story was told. It started off with one POV, we ended up in another POV, and then everything just kind of like comes together by the end. If you have read The Housemaid and you kind of want something that is similar to this one, I would recommend The Last Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine. Now, I've already done a video about this book and The Housemaid because these are eerily similar. This one was released first, but I don't think a lot of people have read it. And then we got The Housemaid that blew up. But the plots of these are very, very similar. So in this one, we're following Amber. And Amber is kind of like fed up with her life. She kind of wants something different. She wants to live more of a lavish lifestyle. So she tells a few lies and she becomes friends with this woman named Daphne Parrish. And Daphne is a little wealthier. She's in with the in crowd. She has a nice looking husband. I think his name is Jackson. I don't know who Derek is. Jackson. And Amber is like kind of envious of them, but she also is doing stuff to get like into this family. So she starts really befriending Daphne. She starts taking trips with them. She kind of starts getting close to the husband. And then she is in way over her head at a certain point in the story. Like I said, very, very similar to The Housemaid, like eerily similar. And again, you're looking for those same kind of vibes, I would highly suggest that you pick up The Last Mrs. Parrish. So those are all of the books that I wanted to talk to you guys about today. If you have read any of these and if you think that you would recommend something different than what I recommended, please leave those recommendations down in the comments. But I will see you guys next time.